live Ren's point of view reaction videos. The video I got today is fitting, the F1 film killing the charts. It's a full breakdown of how F1 as a business works and how it affects basically how they operate. It's fascinating, just to see how they make money, how they go into cities and countries and just generate money and potentially destroy the city that they're in. But I'll let you be the judge of that. Let's go.
If you look at the skyline of Las Vegas or the harbors of Monte Carlos during a Grand Prix weekend, you see the pinnacle of human excess. You see $20 million cars, billion-dollar yachts, and celebrities drinking champagne that costs more than the average American's annual mortgage payments. From the outside, Formula One looks like a money-printing machine. It is the fastest growing sport on the planet with a valuation that has tripled in the last 5 years to over $30 billion. But if you look closely at the balance sheets of the cities that actually host these races, you start to see a very different picture. You see cracked asphalt on abandoned tracks in Korea, you see corruption trials in Vietnam, and you see small business owners in Las Vegas begging for relief funds because the economic boom they were promised turned into a blockade that destroyed their livelihoods. We're told that hosting an F1 race is the ultimate status symbol for a global city, a guarantee of tourism, investment, and prestige. But what if I told you that for the vast majority of the host cities, Formula One is not an investment? It is a sophisticated financial trap designed to extract public tax dollars and funnel them directly into the pockets of a media conglomerate, leaving the locals with nothing but debt and tire marks. So how does this billion-dollar heist actually work? Why do mayors and politicians keep signing these contracts even when the math doesn't add up? And what happens when the circus leaves town? Today, we're breaking down the economics of the F1 hosting trap. To understand why cities go broke hosting F1, you first have to understand the business model of Liberty Media, the American owners of the sport.
It's mad because you never think, you see F1 coming to town. Who would have thought that the cities they go to end up going broke, the fact that they're there? That's new to me. Let's see how it works.
Most sports operate on a franchise model. If a city hosts the Super Bowl, the NFL covers many of its costs, and the city reaps the rewards of the influx of people. Formula One operates differently. It operates more like a franchise extortion racket. You see, Formula One doesn't pay to race in a city. The city pays Formula One. This is called the sanctioning fee or the hosting fee. Think of it as rent, but instead of paying rent to use the landowner pays the tenant just for showing up. In 2024, these fees are astronomical. While historical tracks like Silverstone or Monaco pay significantly less, or in Monaco's case, historically almost nothing. The new destination venues, however, are being squeezed for every penny they have. Azerbaijan, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia are reportedly paying upwards of $55 million to $60 million per year just for the right to call it Grand Prix. And this fee typically comes with an escalator clause, meaning the price goes up by 5% to 10% every single year of the contract. Collectively, these fees generate nearly $900 million a year for Liberty Media. This is nearly $1 billion of pure profit transferred from government treasuries directly to F1's bottom line before a single car engine is even started. And here's the catch. That $55 million check, that's just the cover charge to get into the club. Once the city signs the contract, they unlock the second level of the trap, the infrastructure mandate. In the old days, F1 races were held on dedicated racetracks in the middle of nowhere. Think of Spa in Belgium or Nürburgring in Germany. But Liberty Media doesn't want races in the middle of nowhere anymore. They want content. They want the cars racing past iconic landmarks, skyscrapers, and casinos. They want street circuits. And this is where costs spiral out of control. Turning a public road into an FIA Grade 1 circuit is one of the most expensive construction projects a city can undertake. You cannot just close the road and race. F1 cars produce 5 G-force in corners and travel at 220 miles per hour. A standard city streets would tear the car apart. So the city has to rip up miles of public infrastructure. They have to lay down specialized high-grip asphalt that is imported from specific quarries. They have to weld manhole covers shut so suction of the car doesn't rip them out of the ground, which had famously happened in Las Vegas before, causing millions in damage. They have to install miles of concrete barriers, catch fencing, and grandstands. And because it is a street circuit, they have to pay to set it up and tear it down every single year. Let's look at the Vietnam Grand Prix disaster. In 2018, the city of Hanoi signed a 10-year deal to host F1. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars building a semi-street circuit designed by the famous engineer Herman Tilke. The track was finished, the grandstands were up, and the asphalt was fresh. But then the pandemic hit, and shortly after, the key political backers of the race was arrested on corruption charges. The result? The race was canceled, not just for 1 year, but forever. The city of Hanoi is left with a massive concrete white elephant sitting in the middle of their city. Hundreds of millions of taxpayers' dollars were evaporated instantly. The F1 dream never even completed a single lap. Or take Jeddah Corniche circuit in Saudi Arabia. They claim it is built in record time, but estimates suggest the construction costs alone were over $500 million. For a wealthy petrol state, maybe it is a drop in the bucket, but for a normal city operating on a municipal budget, it is a death sentence. Now, the politicians who sign these deals aren't stupid. They know it costs money, but they justify it with one simple argument. We'll make it back in tourism revenue. They tell the taxpayers, yes, we are spending $100 million to host this, but we will generate $500 million in economic impact. This is the economic multiplier argument, and it is the single greatest lie in the sports hosting industry. Here's how the math actually works. In a normal business partnership, if you pay for the venue and the staff, you get to keep the revenue. In Formula One, the contracts are designed so that F1 keeps almost everything that makes money, and the city keeps almost everything that loses money. Let's break down the revenue streams. First, we have TV rights, worth billions globally. F1 keeps 100% of that. Second, we have Paddock Club hospitality, a curated F1 experience for the ultra-rich. If the grandstands are economy, the Paddock Club isn't first class, it's the private jet. The $10,000 tickets, F1 keeps 100% of that. Then there's trackside advertising. The banners for Rolex, Heineken, and LV, F1 keeps 100% of that as well. Last, we have the merch, the $80 caps and the $150 jerseys. F1 and the teams keep 100% of that as well. So what does the whole city get? They get the ticket sales from general admission, which is usually the cheapest seats in the house. And in many modern contracts, F1 is starting to demand a cut of that as well.
It just sounds like extortion again. Like, where's the logic? Like, obviously it's F1, I get it. Like, it's worldwide. Let's see where this goes. Let's see where this goes.
So the promoter is left relying entirely on incidental spending, hot dogs, hotel rooms, and Uber rides. But independent economists have studied this for decades, and they have found that the multiplier effect is almost always zero or negative. This is due to a phenomenon called the crowding out effect. When a mega event like F1 comes to town, regular tourists stay away. They don't want to deal with the traffic, the road closures, and the price gouging. The city trades its normal steady stream of tourists for a sudden spike of F1 fans. And the F1 fans aren't spending money at the local mom and pop shops. They are staying at international hotel chains, they're eating F1 vendor food at the track, and they're flying on international airlines. The local economy gets the noise, the traffic, and the trash, while the profit are wire transferred to Liberty Media's headquarters in Colorado. If you want to see the F1 trap in its most aggressive form, we have to look at the 2023 Las Vegas Grand Prix. This was supposed to be the jewel in Liberty Media's crown. They hyped it up as the greatest sporting event on earth. And for Liberty Media, it was. They made over $1.2 billion in revenue. But for local business owners of Las Vegas, it was a catastrophe. To build the track, F1 and the county had to shut down major roads for months. They built a massive temporary bridge on Flamingo Road that completely blocked access to dozens of local businesses, gas stations, restaurants, and convenience stores. One business owner, Wade Bowen, who owns a gas station near the Strip, reported that his revenue dropped by 50% during the construction phase. He lost millions of dollars because customers literally cannot get to his front door. Other restaurants reported that their reservations were empty during race weekend because the regular Vegas tourists, the ones who gamble and eat at steakhouses, avoided the city entirely because hotel prices had surged to $1,000 a night. And when the race finally happened, F1 erected massive screens and covers along the pedestrian bridge and fences to ensure that nobody could watch the race for free. They literally blocked the view of the city's own landmarks. After the race, a group of business owners sued, claiming losses of over $23 million. And what was F1's response? Greg Maffei, the CEO of Liberty Media, simply said, "We brought $1.2 billion to the local economy." But the $1.2 billion is an aggregate number. It doesn't account for the disturbance. If the MGM Grand and Caesar Palace made $1 billion and the local shops lose $12 million, the economy grew, but the locals were crushed. It was wealth concentration disguised as economic growth. This isn't just a Las Vegas problem. If we zoom out, we can see a trail of destruction all over the world. Look at the Korean Grand Prix. In 2010, the region of Yunnan in South Korea built a $260 million track in a swamp. They were promised it would turn the area into a high-tech industrial hub. The race lasted 4 years. It lost money every single year. The organizers went bankrupt. Today, the track is falling apart, used occasionally for local car club meets. The industrial hub never materialized. The taxpayers are still paying off the bonds. Look at the Indian Grand Prix. The Boot International Circuit was a state-of-the-art masterpiece that cost $400 million to build. It hosted 3 races. Then a tax dispute with the government shut it down. Now the track is closed, and the return on investment is 0. Similar stories with the Valencia street circuit in Spain. This was supposed to be the Monaco of Spain. The government spent over 200 million euros building it. It is now a ruin. Shanty towns have been built in pit lanes. The expensive electronic equipment was stolen years ago, and the politician who authorized it, several of them is now facing corruption charges for kickbacks related to the construction contracts.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie though. Is that F1's problem? Like you said, a circus comes to town. They're like a high value circus. Like Monaco doing a good job. The races of Monaco, everybody wants to go to F1 at Monaco. So I think the countries that are trying to get them in just can't afford them. That's what it is. Champagne tastes with bare money. Because if you could afford it, then nothing will go. People will come and watch it. It would bring money, I'm thinking. Let's see where this goes.
The pattern is always the same. It starts off with a promise. A politician wants a legacy project. Then comes the deal. F1 extracts a massive fee and demands a massive build. Then the reality. The revenue falls short and the maintenance costs are way too high. Last comes the exit. F1 leaves for a new city and the taxpayers are left holding the bag. So if the history books are filled with these failures, why do new cities keep signing up? Why is Madrid building a new track right now?
Exactly.
Why is Colombia trying to get a race? The answer lies in the psychological concept of sign value and the political concept of sports washing. For a developing nation or a second-tier city, hosting F1 is a shortcut to global legitimacy. If you are Saudi Arabia or Qatar and you want to rebrand your country away from just oil and human rights abuses to luxury tourism destination, $50 million a year is a cheap marketing expense. They don't care if the race makes a profit. They're buying the image of the race.
Yeah, that's exactly it. F1 is a flex. It ain't for the faint-hearted. It's for the big dogs, you know what I'm saying? Like, if your track's falling apart, then you're not a big dog. You're not ready for it. If you're bringing F1 in and you could do it consistently over and over and over and over, you're not in it for the money. I know they're selling it to the public, like they're trying to make a profit, whatever. But F1's for the big dogs. Let's be honest. That's why it's nothing to even complain about. You got dreams of it, but if you can't, yeah, I get it.
They're buying the 60 seconds of drone footage that shows their city looking futuristic and clean on TVs around the world. It is a loss leader for the government's PR department. But for democratic cities with real budgets, like Las Vegas or Miami or Melbourne, the math is much harder to justify. And this is where the friction is starting to show. Traditional tracks like Hockenheim in Germany simply cannot afford these fees anymore. They have dropped off the calendar because they refuse to bankrupt themselves. In their place, we have street tracks in totalitarian regimes or massive US cities where the corporate interests can bulldoze local opposition. Liberty Media has made a calculated decision. They are moving away from sport and towards entertainment. And in the entertainment business, you go where the money is dumbest and easiest. So what does that mean for the future? Currently, F1 is riding a wave of popularity driven by shows like Drive to Survive. The demand is so high, they can charge whatever they want. But economic bubbles always burst. Eventually, cities will realize that prestige of hosting a race isn't worth a $500 million debt. Eventually, the local residents, like those in Las Vegas and Miami, will sue the races out of existence due to noise and disruption. And eventually, the only places left racing will be the ones where the government doesn't have to answer to voters. Until then, the F1 circus will continue to travel the world, setting up its tents, extracting the gold, and leaving before the locals realize they've been pickpocketed. For F1, the cars are fast, the technology is brilliant, and the racing is exciting. But next time you see a mayor shaking hands with the F1 CEO, smiling for the cameras, just remember, you're not watching a business deal. You're watching a city sign its own mortgage papers. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you like this type of content, please consider like and subscribe. This has been Plain Capital. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you next time.
Yeah, F1 is a flex. Let's be honest. It's a big flex. And the only people left carrying the bag are people that can't afford it. That's how I see it. The countries that can are going to keep having F1. The successful, the guys that are making the money are going to get F1. It's going to happen. F1 ain't going nowhere. The guys that can't do it are the ones that they're punching above their weight. You know what I mean? Anyway, hope you like it. Peace.